Learning how to properly engage the transverse abdominis, the deepest layer of your abdominals, properly is one of the most challenging things for people to get a hold of in the beginning. So having a way to assist yourself to successfully engage that muscle group, so that is the first layer of activation and foundation at which everything else is going to engage off of, is really important. So what we're going to do now is use a few things to help maximally assist us to feel that engagement below our belly button instead of first contracting along the sides and up top. We really want to make sure that we first can feel below our belly button and then we move along that foundation. So having a yoga block is the ideal tool. We're going to put that between our knees to squeeze. Our feet will be against the wall. And having some tubing is really helpful as well. But you could get creative if you needed to. You could use a couple of dense pillows or roll up a bunch of bath towels to put between your knees. The only problem is they're kind of soft, so they're not going to give you the same amount of tension that the yoga block would create for you. So we're going to get on our backs. So you're just going to kind of scooch up to the wall there, so that you put your bottom of your feet to the wall. And you're going to take the yoga block so that the kind of medium width, you're going to put that between your knees. Now, when you're laying against the floor, I want you to just have a sense for the back of your hips being kind of even on the ground if you can. You want to, kind of pull your shoulder blades back down. You want to make sure your shoulders aren't, up in your ears. And if you have a really big arch of your lower back off the floor, you do want to try to, rock your pelvis just slightly so that that neutralizes. You want that neutral spine. That's how we're going to begin strengthening your ability to stabilize your spine when you're up and moving around throughout the day. So if you're here, you want to make sure that you're also not pressing your lower back into the floor. So you're not rotating the pelvis back and really smashing that spine to the floor. So your lower back muscles can be touching, but you really don't want the spine to be pressing. You want just a natural little bit of a curve there. And when we blow out, we're just going to make sure we just flatten down our rib cage here, translating it down towards our pelvic line. We're not crunching, okay? So this floor is going to give us some nice feedback so that we're blowing out kind of just gently, very little, translating the rib cage down to stabilize it. And as we squeeze the block and push our feet to the wall, you should be able to try to pull. If this is underneath your belly button, you're just going to draw that in slightly. It's very subtle. Another way to think about it is that if you have a point at your belly button and you have a point at your pubic bone, you're going to pull both those 2 points together and in towards your spine without moving anything else. It's really important, okay? So feeling that engagement there. Now, if you're still having a lot of trouble feeling that, you can take some tubing or TheraBand, wrap it around your hands. Now, this blue TheraBand is has a pretty decent resistance, and that might be too much for some people if you don't have enough upper body strength. So starting with a red can be helpful. So the trick is that the harder the resistance is of the band, the more it's going to help you. But if you have to find the sweet spot that you can also tolerate doing it with the upper body strength that you have. So what we're going to do is keep squeezing the block, pressing your feet into the wall to get that activation. And then here we're going to contract the back of our shoulder blades to the bra line and opening up so that band is across our chest. We're just going to pin our fists to the wall. That was a little too much resistance. So for me, here, this is where I can successfully pin that band to the wall. My wrists are neutral, my elbows are straight. I'm activating my upper back. I'm squeezing the yoga block. I'm pressing my feet to the wall. And now, as I blow out, I can feel below my belly button pulling in. I can also feel kind of my pelvic floor drawing up. So some people have that experience of Kegels. It's all the same stuff that we're trying to engage here. When you draw that transverse abdominis in properly, your pelvic floor engages, and the small muscles along your spine engage. So for some people in the beginning, just holding this and breathing, so your diaphragm moving up and down and maintaining that contraction below your belly button, is an exercise, okay? Now, if you're able to successfully engage this without the band, then we're gonna put your hands up towards the ceiling, palms facing each other. Remember that this engagement below the belly button, drawing that in and setting that little bit of tension there, that's what our goal is to maintain that. So this first exercise, if you do not have a shoulder problem, any shoulder impingement or pain, then you're basically going to try to touch your thumb over your head, one arm at a time, going nice and slow, okay? And so I'm gonna first blow out, make sure that I'm pressing my feet into the wall, so I'm engaging the back of my hips, I'm squeezing the blocks, I'm also engaging my inner thigh, which are important parts of our core system. And as I slowly bring my arm to about here, I'm going to start feeling the fascia pulling at the abdomen. And so the whole point of this movement is I'm not going to let this release. I'm going to just, as my arm goes down, I'm going to feel the need to keep this more and more engaged. And then just control bringing it back up. Good. And now let's do the other side. You may have to rest and reset your breath. And you'll find one side is going to be a little more challenging than another. But this is a great exercise to keep your spine neutral and start beginning to really truly activate the core in a very balanced way, in a really safe way for your lower back.